Hey everyone, Meteorologist Tuttle here with you. It is about 9:45 and time for a weather update. We're talking about some severe weather returning to the state on Wednesday. We've got a little bit of rainfall coming in tonight and into tomorrow. We'll talk about both of those things. So thanks for joining me. Make sure you like and share this video with your friends and family. And know they can come here for some scientific reasoning as to what's going to happen. I'm not going to blanketly scare everybody. We're just going to talk about the actual threat and narrow it down to as small a region as we can and the timing and all that kind of stuff. So that's what we're going to get down to. So give everybody a second to get on board and get your brains percolating. All right, I was looking at a couple of things on data here, the last minute behind the scenes, just because data. And we'll get new stuff that comes in. We're just now getting in that 4 to 8 hour window for the event on Wednesday. And so that means every time we get a new model run between now and then, the data will get better and better and be able to more hyper focus specific threats and all that kind of deal. All right. So let me start out with this guy here. Okay. So overall, the severe weather threat for Wednesday is in the slight risk color of yellow. So that is on the low end of the severe weather threat scale, as you can see, from marginal to slight to enhanced to moderate to high. Highs are very rare. You don't get those. And matter of fact, most high risk categories are busts overall, which is a good thing. But it just means that's usually, these are kind of like levels of potential. Think of it that way. They're not always guaranteed. They're levels of potential. But what you can focus on is here in the slight risk, because they ain't anywhere, and usually in this yellow shading, and it's a broad paintbrush, usually find some severe weather. That's all that means. And I will tell you this right now, this will likely get scaled back to something like this. All right? And that's for Wednesday afternoon, the way the model data looks right here tonight. But again, there's plenty of time to fine tune this, and we'll go through that with time. What I want to show you analog-wise, when you compare this storm system with all the others in the past, and you find like or similar events, given the atmospheric setup, and you look at the hazard guidance, when you look at potential for one tornado, just one, you have a low probability. 10 to 20% here in southwest Oklahoma and to western Texas. When you try to find, let's say, 5 reports of a tornado, nothing's there. All right. So what we're going to do tonight is focus on the fact that this event is a low threshold event. All right, thumbs up. Now, this is, of course, looking at tonight's data. So if you're seeing reports of widespread tornadoes expected or widespread this, that, and the other, it's nonsense. Ignore it, okay? I'm going to show you the real data, which shows otherwise. So we're just going to stick with the data and what it actually shows. We talk about significant percentages as far as significant hail, significant wind. There's a little bit of a signal far southwest Oklahoma, mostly in Texas. Significant wind, not so much. And as we said, significant tornado, nothing at all. So this is a very low impact event as far as severe weather is concerned in the analog guidance. Now, does the actual data coming in this evening, though, kind of back up that claim? Well, let's take a look. First off, I want to show you the rainfall here for tonight into tomorrow. Okay, we're going to look through, let's see, what time are we now? Almost 10 o'clock. So we'll go through about now, which shows some showers in northern Oklahoma, some out in the panhandle of Texas. Those will drift eastward overnight tonight. So you do see quite a bit of showers and storms, and yes, some will be heavy. Rumbles of thunder in the morning, heavy downpours here around the time you're getting up to sip your morning coffee. So don't be surprised at that. As we go through time, you see that little heavy batch of red on the map in case those heavier thunderstorms. Those move off to the east. Now there is a little track here, just a little bit of a what we call a little circle, which is helicity. That indicates a little bit of an updraft, so a stronger storm. What that is telling me is that you could see some pea-sized hail with some of those storms in the morning, but they won't be the huge hail, just be the tiny hail. All right, so that'll move on off to the east through Tulsa at 9 o'clock in the morning, and then by the time we head toward lunchtime, all this stuff starts to move out of the state. Just a few sprinkles and lingering showers across eastern Oklahoma throughout the afternoon, maybe a rumble of thunder. Otherwise, most of the state fairly quiet once you get past lunchtime. Now, there is some resurgence of some additional showers during the evening hours and overnight, as you can see. But otherwise, severe weather we're not expecting for that. But it will be kind of a soggy, cold, wet day for Tuesday. Now, so heading to Wednesday, this is where things kind of get interesting. We have a dry line out here in western Texas, or excuse me, the eastern Texas panhandle. All right, so the dry line will help try to fire off some showers or storms out here, which is it normally does, especially this time of the year. That's common. What happens after, though, is interesting. All right, so we're going to go to 48, 49 hours. So we head into the, let's see, we're going 7, 8, 9 o'clock. So we're going late in the evening. You see how these storms kind of start out kind of a linear fashion? It means more like a line, not individual supercells. So they kind of start out cluster of individual supercells somewhat, but they quickly form a line, and that line then develops north to south and then moves east as we head toward the 9 and 10 o'clock hour. By the time we're heading toward the 10 and 11 o'clock hour, it moves into central Oklahoma, southern Oklahoma, and it kind of continues to move east along the Red River. Now, the take-home is that this is a fairly pathetic line of storms. Now, you hear meteorologists say it's a pathetic line of storms. That's a good thing, all right? Now, the reason why I'm saying that is because this line of storms is running into an atmosphere which is still capped, and some of these storms can be elevated. As long as they stay elevated, they can't get what they call rooted in the boundary layer, which means they become kind of, think of it as ground suckers. You got a storm that's just sucking in inflow. If it's hanging up here, way up high, it's just sucking in air. No big deal. Kind of way up here, no tidal threat, no nothing. But if it's down on the surface and it's sucking in air right as we breathe at you and I living level, that's where that becomes a surface-based storm, surface-rooted, and that's when you have the potential for a tornado. That's a very layman's terms type way of describing it. So if you hear me say elevated, think good news. If you hear me say rooted, bad news. So that's kind of, I'm trying to simplify things for you in a complicated fashion. But regardless, this is what the model data is suggesting here for tonight. And if we look at, let's take a look at the 7 o'clock forecast sounding for southwestern Oklahoma. Now, again, we're in the early stages, so sometimes the models will kind of catch up, and it all depends on moisture, all right? It has the moisture coming at the last minute, and one of the models has that moisture kind of mixing out. So, and also keeping the cap fairly strong. Now, if we look at the forecast sounding, the shear is actually pretty decent. In other words, if I were to see this shear, I think, hey, potential for a tornado. And the lifting condensation level is about 1,000 meters, 1 kilometer. I say, okay, you can probably get an isolated tornado in that environment. Capes are through the roof, 4,000 to 5,000 joules, but there's a very stout cap out here in western Oklahoma, which means these storms, when they form in the eastern Texas panhandle, are going to run into that cap, and that cap increases during the evening. All right, so that's why they have a tendency to become elevated with time, especially if they start out with high cloud bases. They never quite get rooted or elevated, and hence you get that linear fashion of line. But regardless, the analogs do show some significant hail in there. Hail sizes up to around 3 inches in diameter, and again, the potential for a tornado here in far western and southwestern Oklahoma. So that would be my guess is the best shot of seeing a tornado out of any of this, and it should not be a widespread deal, just maybe 1 or 2, something like that. All right, let me go now through what I want to show you. This is one of the reasons I want to show you this. Okay, so we're going to go to the Texas Tech model. So I typically lean on this model quite a bit. Now, it does have a couple of severe storms out here that crosses the Texas Panhandle into western and southwestern Oklahoma. Those look a little supercellular in nature through the 6 and 7 o'clock time frame before they kind of congeal into more of a solid cluster of line or more of a wind event by that point as we head toward 9 and 10 o'clock. And it's a little quicker than the other model as far as timing goes. All right, so it's a late afternoon, evening deal. It's just a couple hours ahead of the other one. Now, this is where I think things are interesting. You have to watch this. I see a lot of severe weather setups vaporize because of moisture. And a lot of times the models will hint at this. So as we go through time here, I want to show you where the dry line is. And I'm going to show you what this model is hinting that will happen. This is at lunchtime. So this red area is dew point values in the low to mid 60s. Adequate for tornadoes. You really need dew point values in the 60s. Out here in the Panhandle, they drop off quite considerably because, again, we've got the developing dry line out here that tries to get developed in the late afternoon. All right. Now look what happens to this big batch of low 60s. It was red in here, right? Well, look what happens. This is going to shift up to the north, and this air is going to mix out at about the time that those storms start to erupt. What does that mean? That means that as this dew point values in this air mass mix out and they have some dry air entrainment and circulates in the atmosphere, that causes the cloud base to increase in height. In other words, that lifting condensation level, no longer rooted ground suckers are in the elevated domain. So that means these are elevated hailers out here in western Oklahoma. So that right there, we'll watch for this trend. If this trend continues to show up in the model data, indicates that the dew point values mix out into, this tends to be the mid 50s. That can kill a threat of a tornado. All right, that simple 5 to 7 to 8 degree temperature drop in the dew point values can neutralize potential for a tornado because it causes those cloud bases to rise too much, and you don't have enough what they call low level moisture, low level juice. So that's a positive. That's what's in the model data here for tonight, here on Monday night, and we'll see if this trend holds. But that's the positive that I have for you. That's what I'm looking toward. And then, of course, in the evening hours, that moisture typically does pull back in the overnight with the low-level jet and other things that do happen over in the nighttime hours. But by this point in time, the line has already the storms have already lined out, so no longer supercellular. And once they line out, they get in a cluster, they fight each other for updraft strength, and the potential for producing a tornado drops very, very low, which is great news. So far, I see a lot of things going in our favor with these particular storms. And that thing I want to show you, or mention to you again as we started this broadcast, is where will the majority of these storms be? Are they going to be over that entire area in yellow we saw across the state? No. So right now, the key appears to be about I-40 to I-35, the southwestern quadrant of Oklahoma. So if your severe weather threat for Wednesday evening looks to appear in that range, and those weaken overnight as they continue to move eastward. How fast they'll weaken, it's usually hour by hour. Until then, usually get at least some small hail. It usually turns into more of a wind maker at that point in time, like they had with that last system moving through southeastern and southern Oklahoma. You guys had some pretty good wind damage in some areas across the state in that region. Okay, was that everything I wanted to show you? A couple soundings. Yep. Show you the data. Yep. Shows you the analog stuff. Yep. Okay, let's do rainfall totals. And I think that's about all I want to show you for tonight. So with this event here coming up for Tuesday, you can see rainfall totals here. A lot of the blue and white areas, anywhere from a half an inch to an inch. Once you get to the red, which is here in Oklahoma City, we're about 1.5 inches to almost 2, especially the east side of town, out 40 toward Shawnee, and then back up toward Tulsa. So there's a little spot there, a sweet spot of some 2-inch or so rainfall amount. So we definitely need the rainfall because we're going to get into a drought condition if we don't start chunking out some of that liquid from the sky. And then as we add and include those storms in southwest Oklahoma, looks like those will dump about 1 inch of rain, maybe 1.5 inches in very small clusters of areas where they train over or they just kind of sit in one place a little bit too long. But the better rain, more widespread rain, is going to be for tonight through our Tuesday. All right, let me think. I think that was it. That's all I want to show you. Let me see. I'm going to click a few things here behind the scenes. Make sure I don't want to forget anything. Talk about the rainfall totals, talk about the timing, talk about the concerned areas and the threats, which would be for some large hail, damaging wind, and yes, an isolated tornado or two in far western southwest Oklahoma. And then that's for the late afternoon, evening hours. So again, we're talking after 5 o'clock, probably more closer to 6 to 7 in that area. And then they will move east and then diminish in their intensity pretty rapidly, and then not be much of themselves by midnight, whatever's left over. Let me think. Okay, let me go to your questions. I'll have to start a couple of the deals up here real quick. So if you hear some noise, just ignore that. All right, let's do that one. Okay, get my patrons loaded up. All right, that is not what I wanted. What are you doing? Let's do a refresh. I got to refresh my own refresh. All right, so Twitter, by the way, Periscope, thanks you guys for watching there. If you have any questions, just feel free to chime in the little comment area, and I usually answer them at the end of my broadcast. You guys in Yukon know the deal. I'm starting to recognize the same names over and over. So it's funny. Everybody has their preferred platform to watch. I will tell you also, and this is new, by the way, if enough of you guys can become my YouTube subscribers, and I know it's a big stretch, but if enough of you can sign up for that channel, YouTube will turn on closed captioning on that automatically. But for right now, Facebook has started doing automatic closed captioning. So you'll notice that when you launch the phone browser, and it'll have the captioning at the bottom. What I'm providing for you at the top is open captioning. That way I can cover every platform all at once. Now, between the two systems, one may be a little more accurate than the other. This one, I can massage certain words and replace certain words where it picks up a term I'm saying, which it doesn't really know what to do with that, and it puts something else in its place. So I tried to correct some of those words that I can manually. Closed captioning might be a little bit better at doing that, by the way. So again, you can turn that on in your. I think it's on by default in Facebook. I think you actually have to manually turn that off if you don't want that feature. All right, so that's, and you can probably watch them both at the same time and let me know, hey, closed captioning is working good. We don't need open captioning. And if that's the case, then I'll turn that off and disable it, and then you'll have a little bit more space at the top and less stuff on the screen to watch. So that's just a little tip for you on that aspect. Okay, so we get to a couple of your questions, and then we're going to turn you loose because it's 10 o'clock, and you got things to do, and I got things to do, right? Because we are busy people. Busy. All right, real quick on the patrons. Again, thanks you guys for supporting me. Patrons are my either Facebook fans, subscribers, or they join up through Patreon. Those are two platforms they can subscribe on. There's a couple others, Subscribestar. They can do PayPal. They can do Venmo. There's a few other, even cryptocurrency, a little Bitcoin action. Anyway, so Denise is in the house and Amanda's here. Thanks for joining in, ladies. Let's see, moving on time. Yeah, a lot of you guys are on time. That's good. That means Facebook notified you. Larry, ooh, you're getting your hip replaced. Well, good luck, brother. And yeah, right now it doesn't look like too bad. But hey, with that new hip replacement, you might be able to predict the weather pretty good. Give me a message and say, hey, I can feel it in my bones. My new hip bone. Give me a tip, would you? All right, so I hope your surgery goes well. So back on the main Facebook page, I can only go back up and skim the last, I think, 30 comments. Then they kind of get all cut off. Let's see, I'm just going to scroll through real quick. Dun, 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 dun. Jody, cute as always. Let's see. Many meteorologist Jacqueline would like to know when AT onesies will be available. Aw, Jesse, that is adorable. That is so cute. Dottie loves pathetic storms. I'm with you. Yes, Carolyn. That's an official term, by the way, pathetic storms. This is all for Wednesday evening, Amber, except for the rain that's going to happen tonight and tomorrow. Delora, you're hilarious. You're welcome. Let's see. Okay, so Roquessa, interesting name. I have never seen Roquessa before. Roquessa Tarver. And she's a supporter. So she's a Facebook fan subscriber. Okay, so here's the deal. How can you get one of these goodies that AT has on? These are my hoodies. So you can go to my website, AaronTuttleWeather.com. The link is at the top of this broadcast. It's in the description. Or just type it in. When you go there, there's a store, like AT store. And in there, you can have a direct link to where you can pick up any of my weather gear. So it's hoodies, T-shirts, that kind of deal. Michelle says the closed captioning is hilarious to watch. Now again, remember, keep in mind there's closed captioning on Facebook automatically now, and then there's open captioning, which is I'm providing at the top. And that program is a little a little funny sometimes. I'll have to pay attention to the closed captioning to see if it does any better. So look, Jody's all over it with the where to get the hoodies. You go, girl, pimping me out. How's Aggie football looking, Kyle? Dude, we need some sports, do we not? We're actually supposed to have a really good year. Easy year. We'll see. Wait, how do I rewind? I just got on. Oh my goodness. Kelsey is late to the party, everybody. Well, I'm going to wrap this up, and you'll have to hit the replay button when I finish. Yeah, I'll give you a quick 30-second recap, though, here in just a second. So, hail for Northwest Oklahoma City. Man, mine's just getting right into it. We'll see. It'd be late, and it would be after 10 o'clock, looks like, on timing. So Matt wants to know, is there a chance for the rest of the weekend for severe weather? And my answer is, buddy, I made a blog just for you. Go check it out, AaronTuttleWeather.com. I give you all the info you need on my latest blog. You can pull it up on my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. There's a blog tab on the weather app, and it'll pull in the blog as well from there. But yeah, you can't rewind when it's on live that I'm aware of. I'm not sure, actually. They may have changed that. Southwestern Oklahoma on Wednesday. Yes, Nate. There might be one. I see so many viewers and so few supporters, Leah. I know. You know, it's funny, Leah. Now, remember me. Okay, so picture in my head as a content creator. I've got 37,000 of you that follow on Facebook, right? And like and follow. It's like just they're neck and neck, almost exact same. But when I go live or when I post something, the amount that watches or actually sees it or likes it or whatever is only usually in the low thousands, 1 or 2 or 3 at most, something like that, on watching a video at one time. And I'm like, well, where are the other 130,000 of you? So I'm not sure how that works. And when it comes to supporter, I don't pressure anybody. If you want to support me for what I do for you, that's great. If you don't, and you want to support me just by liking and following and sharing, that's great too. Money's not everything. Money provides the funding that I do to do all this, but it doesn't bring me happiness. It's not why I do it. I've been doing this without support for so many years. It's just a thing I did recently so that I could help to do more things that I want to do on here. So that's the function for that. But thanks for bringing that up. Okay, so so the real recap, and then I got to get out of here. If you just now joined late, you're like, hey, I totally missed everything. Lay it on me, brother. Level with me. Seriously. I mean, are we all doomed? What's going to happen? Been watching other guys on TV. They already got me freaking out. My anxiety's through the roof. I can't take anymore. I got the virus anxiety. I got tornado anxiety. You put them together, I got super anxiety. I'm going to go crazy, and I'm going to just start, yelling at my kids 24/7. Well, first off, take a deep breath. Stop watching what causes anxiety. I don't care if it's the news. I don't care if it's the social media. I don't care if it's weather guys. Just turn it off. And all of a sudden, you'll be like, whew, and that prefrontal cortex right up in here will get a chance to reset. Once your prefrontal cortex can reset, all of a sudden, more logic comes in, and that emotional component just freaks you the freak out, stops. And you're like, oh, it's going to be okay. All right. And then, you're back to normal person. So that's the steps. Now, when it comes to the weather part of it, I got you covered right here. Right now, it looks like the southwestern quadrant of the state for late Wednesday afternoon and evening. So this is pretty much bounded by I-40 west to I-35 south. They'll start on the eastern Texas panhandle. They'll move east, a couple supercells early on, high-based. They'll be hailers. A very small chance of producing a couple of tornadoes, maybe a tornado. All right, very low probability right now because the cloud base is high and the dew points mix out ahead of the dry line. Those are usually two indications that it's going to be very hard to get a tornado to form. Shear's good though, stability's good, but you have to have everything. This is you're baking a perfect cake. You put in just a little less of this, a little less of that, doesn't come out as well. So, but that right now is a trend that we'll see if it continues to develop over the next 24 to 36 hours. But regardless, the data right now suggests that those storms then congeal into a line, which is a squall line, or they call it a pseudo squall line. I'll make it simple for you. And in that, you'll usually have pockets of hail, pockets of damaging wind, and occasionally you can get a leading edge, a spin up, what they call a QLCS tornado, which is like what I call typically a baby tornado. Usually because they're EF zeros or ones. They're very rare to get anything higher than that. And that would be across southwest Oklahoma during the evening hours, kind of weakening as they go east, approaching Oklahoma City Metro and point south, probably after about 10 o'clock. So for about the first 3 hours, they'll be in western and southwestern Oklahoma. That's a lot of times the way it goes in the springtime, so it should be nothing new for you. But Mark, I shouldn't have peeked down to look at that. But so-and-so said, so, I can't watch so-and-so or any of the O&Os because my head will explode. You guys have no idea. When I watch some of the crap that those weather guys say and do, it makes my head explode. When I tell you not to do anxiety causing issues, I can't do it. It causes my anxiety to go up, and I got enough issues going on. I need to worry about somebody else's. All right, listen, I gotta get out of here, but thanks for watching tonight, and I'll be doing weather updates also tomorrow evening, and we'll see what changes, and I'll probably try to do a Facebook Live at lunchtime for you tomorrow as well, usually right around 12 o'clock. I can't guarantee the exact time, but usually right around the lunch hour, and then we'll do tomorrow evening, and then Wednesday, I plan on being live just because I do plan on at least seeing a tornado at this point. But that's a stretch. But we'll see if that threat improves or decreases. And if it decreases where it's just elevated hailers, then a lot of times I don't go live for that. But we'll see what happens. All right. And meanwhile, you guys have a great evening. Read my blog. It has the details on the rest of the week. And stay warm out there. It's chilly. All right. Good night, everybody.